I recently discovered this super underrated 2002 thriller called Changing Lanes, starring Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Jackson. It's a captivating movie about morality and the evil lurking inside of human nature in our day-to-day lives. The movie's entirely set on Good Friday and has also some surprising Christian meaning and messaging. Here's why you should see it. So Changing Lanes is about a young lawyer and a businessman who get into a small car accident. And this situation, over the course of a single day, escalates into pure chaos and brings these two men to the edge of their own understanding of morality. This is an ice-cold movie about the evil in human nature. It's about alcoholism, violence, fraud, exploitation, adultery, the corruptness of big corporations, and the abuse of law. But the movie has barely any on-screen violence, no nudity, and only small doses of bad language. Probably the most impressive thing about this film is how deeply it explores the nature of evil without using any disturbing imagery or diving into unnecessary extremes, some things most modern movies exploring evil do. This movie doesn't have any psychopaths, any murderers, but instead observes the evil in human nature that starts out with white lies, some ego-driven actions, a little bit of cheating, and decisions made out of insecurities that eventually can grow bigger and bigger into life-altering situations. It's a movie that feels really modern on a technical level. The editing is super tight. It's almost like you're watching a contemporary indie thriller, but still Changing Lanes totally delivers on the entertainment value of a mainstream blockbuster at the same time. There's nothing particularly special about this story. The settings are normal, the characters are just two regular men. For me, it was precisely that which made this film so intriguing, because the movie is totally unashamed in showing us the characters behaving badly and making bad decisions, while at the same time turning our attention to their intentions, which in fact they do want to do the right thing, but completely fall short of actually doing the right thing. It actually reminded me of Romans 7:15, where Paul says, "I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do." This clear distinction of the human and the person and the sin is what this movie does in a really biblical way. So this isn't your average revenge thriller. This is much more biblical than I expected this to be. We see the story play out over 24 hours, and the movie is actually set in its entirety on Good Friday. At first, this may seem like some kind of plot device, but in the end, the film has some serious Christ-based moments. There's a confession scene in a church where Ben Affleck's character perfectly encapsulates the moral chaos of somebody who isn't really in the faith, more of a cultural Christian, but has the wrong picture of what Christianity is all about. So he becomes utterly hopeless while even at church. The scene in the movie is actually quite short, but on YouTube I actually found an extended cut of this scene, which has way more depth and actually has Affleck's character admitting that he's a Catholic, although if we pay attention to how the character behaves for the rest of the movie, it's debatable if he's really in the faith, and he definitely is more of a cultural Christian, which in turn again fits the whole narrative of the movie. Over the course of a day, these two men make bad decisions that destroy their life, and in the end are left with like a search for meaning and outlook for the future. There's a particularly shocking scene where Ben Affleck's character talks to his wife. They have a really sinister and weird conversation that I don't want to give away in this review. But later on we see Samuel L. Jackson's character that has an important conversation with his own wife, or rather ex-wife. And there's a small painting of Jesus in the background. And like the background is super clean, and the only thing that you really recognize is that painting, so it's very intentional. And these images of grace kind of make a setup for these two men who have been at each other's throats for this entire movie, and in the end come to terms with their own moral responsibilities. This is an edge of your seat thriller with a really deep emotional depth, and eventually even receives a spiritual dimension. We see these two characters again and again make bad decisions based on singular moments and emotions and ego, and in the end they eventually give up their ways and admit their own faults and helplessness. While this film does play around with Christian ideas, it never fully commits to the idea of Christianity being the answer to evil. So the movie tries to construct a happy ending that did really feel undercooked for me as a believer. Still, there's so much to be admired about this 90s 2000 style thriller. It also really reminded me of the movie Locke starring Tom Hardy, which is one of my favorite movies. I know some of you guys really like that movie as well. So if you like the movie Locke, you will really resonate with Changing Lanes as well. Have you heard of this movie before? If not, I think it's really worth checking out. Thank you so much for watching my review right here. Hope to have you back in the next one, and God bless you all.